Yoshi! It's December 30th. What the heck are you doing? Go back to vacation, man! Hey, what's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken, and welcome back to another video, and I'm interrupting my own vacation to bring you this news about Deadlock, because it just received a small balance update, and a lot of heroes are getting some pretty interesting buffs, so I'm quickly going to go over the most important information for you, and as always, a link to the patch notes will be in the description. And also, if you appreciate my patch coverage, then I would really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button down below, so that way you stay up to date on all my latest videos, including patch updates such as this one. Anyways, I don't know why I'm playing Pocket, they didn't get any changes. Let's start off with Bebop. Bebop got some pretty interesting changes. First of all, as I'm sure you've already noticed, he has 3 stamina bars back. That's pretty cool. However, they did nerf the stamina regeneration of this character, so it now takes about 1.5 seconds longer to regenerate each stamina bar. A bit of a trade-off, but at least for the early game, this is going to feel pretty good for Bebop, so that's nice. But we're not done yet. We also have a little bit more health per boon, from 46 up to 52, and the Sticky Bomb has received numerous changes. And the general trend is that the base damage has gone down, but the spirit scaling has gone up, and they've changed how the stack mechanic works. So, let's take a look. First of all, the base damage has gone from 100 down to 75, and the tier 2 damage has gone from 63 down to 60. However, they buffed the spirit scaling from 1.1 all the way up to 1.5, so spirit power means a lot more. And also, as you can see here, the hit mechanics and kill mechanics have been changed for the sticky bomb, so now you get less damage. Previously, it was 1.5% for hit and 4% for kill. Now it's only 1% and 2.5% respectively, but you get spirit power scaling on both of these mechanics. So if I go ahead and just grab like Boundless Spirit here, we can really see the difference that it is making. So just one Boundless Spirit gets us up to 201 damage, but the Sticky Bomb damage scaling on hit and on kill both are actually slightly weaker than they were before still. So 1.21% on the hit and 3.76% on the kill. And then if I go ahead and add some levels to get some more spirit power online, excuse me. So at max level now, we are still only at 1.32% for hit, but we do finally surpass the previous value for kills. Now we get 4.42% per kill. Now something I am very curious about is if we are actually able to have the stacks we get in the early game translate into more damage in the late game based on our spirit power. So I'm going to go ahead and get this guy nice and low, put a bomb on him, and we should get 3.5%. Oop, hold on. Punch him. Okay. Now I have 4%, which is basically 1% plus 2.5%, and then it rounds up to 4% on the tooltip here, so we should be at about 3.52%. So now what happens if I max level and grab Boundless Spirit? And yes, it does actually dynamically improve my existing stacks as we level up and get more spirit power. It just went up from 4 to 7%. So that's actually really good news, because if it didn't do that, then the stacks you get in the early game wouldn't matter nearly as much as the stacks you get in the late game, and that would honestly probably kill the character. So yeah, okay, that's good to know. And this really just means that you're going to need a lot more spirit power on this character. A lot of popular builds, not my build's not popular, but a lot of popular builds will go for like a lot of greens early on. They'll get like Veil Walker, Enduring Speed, Sprint Boots, stuff like that. But now you really need to invest more into purples, and they did also give him more health with his boons to compensate. So this is a pretty interesting change, and hopefully Bebop will feel better to play, especially Bomb Bebop, because I think Bomb Bebop is definitely the most interesting of his playstyles, when you consider Gun Bebop as the alternative. Alright, so Grandpa got some really interesting changes here. First of all, Rain of Arrows is getting some improvements. The cooldown has gone down from 35 to 30 seconds, and the Tier 3 now grants 30% bullet evasion. And you might be wondering, what the heck does that stat mean? Basically, you have a 30% chance to just not be hit by an incoming bullet. That means no damage and no bullet procs from something like Fixation or Afterburn. And as of before this patch, I'm pretty sure the only character who had this stat was Haze with her Tier 3 ultimate, so it's a very rare stat. Now Great Talon gets it during his Rain of Arrows, which is going to make him very tanky with the Tier 3, because think about it, you get 30% of both life steals, so that's just a free leech. And then you get 30% bullet evasion now, and yeah, that's pretty crazy. But we're not done yet, because the Guided Owl has also received some buffs. One buff in particular is very powerful here. So the duration has gone up by 2 seconds, and the damage on the Tier 1 has gone from 81 up to 85. Those are both pretty tame. But look at the spirit power per kill. That has gone up from 5 to 8. Whew, that is a 60% increase right there in the amount of spirit power you get per kill. So you are now really rewarded for hitting those guided owls, because remember how much this guy likes spirit power scaling. With the tier 3 charge shot, you get 2 damage per spirit power, so you get a lot more damage from guided owl. And then imagine stacking that up with boundless spirit. Oh my god. Yeah. Great Talon is definitely back this patch, if these numbers mean what I think they do. Holliday is getting some buffs in a rare show of kindness to this character. I feel like she's been nerfed so much over the past year, and honestly, she kind of fell off a little bit, maybe. So they reduced the cooldown of the powder keg from 32 seconds down to 28 seconds, which is actually pretty nice, especially once you get a lot of charges going. You're going to be able to just fling those things constantly. And they fixed lasso being removed by divine barriers, so previously, I suppose like an allied page or somebody could save a teammate from the lasso. That is no longer. Alright, so Ivy is getting a very interesting change, and to showcase it, I've gotten me and this friendly Infernus player to low HP. So the Watcher's Covenant just got massively buffed in terms of its replicated healing. Not only did they increase the base value from 25 up to 35, but they also made it scale with boons at a rate of 0.5 per boon. So if I max level my character, we get 52% replicated healing. That is monstrous. And so if I lasso to my Infernus player and then I grab something like a Healing Nova, look at how much healing that I get from this tether. Oh my... Aww. That's an insane amount of healing. This normally does 535, but it just full healed both of us. That is ridiculous. Let me do that again, just to really hammer home how strong this is. One tether, and then Healing Nova. Oh my god! That is so much healing. That is ludicrous. So, yeah. You are able to do some ridiculous amounts of healing. And the reason why this particular synergy works so well is because it replicates the healing between both Ivy and Infernus. And so the Healing Nova hits Ivy, and it heals her, and then that healing goes over to Infernus. And then Infernus also gets hit by the Healing Nova, and so he sends some of that Healing Nova healing back over to Ivy, and so everyone just gets a ridiculous amount of healing. You might start to see some really powerful healer Ivy playstyles this patch, and this is the reason why. This is a monumental change for the tether. And that's not even the only thing they did. They also reduced the airdrop ally damage penalty from 30% to 20%. So now, if you lasso, or if you grab somebody like a 7 who's ulting and you want to fly that 7 around, he only has a 20% damage reduction now. So, yeah, you're really incentivized to combo with your teammates with the airdrop again, and fly around a 7 ult or a Bebop laser or something like that, and just unleash destruction on the enemy team. Support Ivy is back on the menu. This is honestly an insane change. Kelvin is getting some buffs. Oh. Okay, that's a little scary. Let's see what they got in store for it. So, the Frost Grenade Tier 3 now also reduces stamina regen by 30%. So you get that damage, and then you also reduce their stamina regen. Okay, pretty interesting, pretty on theme for the character. What else did they do? Well, they buffed the Ice Path, so the Tier 3 max spirit power has gone up to 75. Previously it was 55, and it now lingers for 2 seconds longer. So this upgrade will hopefully be a little bit more savory, and it'll grant a lot more effectiveness to your abilities. That's more damage on the beam, more damage and healing on the grenade, and of course more healing on the frozen shelter if you are to also max that out. So I don't know how many of you in my audience remember one of the worst builds I've ever played, and that was the Disarm Spam Moe and Krill. Well, the funny thing is, I might have to try that build again, because Sandblast just got a whole slew of very interesting changes, because I feel like this ability is often neglected on most Moe and Krill builds because the upgrades aren't really that savory when you compare them to what you can get with combo or the damage you can do with Burrow. So they have really put a lot into this ability. First of all, you can now actually cast the Sandblast while you're in the Burrow, and the Burrow also has improved vertical area detection for the knockup. So if I go ahead and head into my Burrow, and then bam, just disarm like that, and then pop out up here, and all of that should be feeling nice and good. And they have also buffed the Tier 2 and Tier 3 of the Sandblast. So the Tier 2 now has 23 seconds of cooldown reduction, previously it was 19, and they also made it so that the Tier 3 will reduce dash distance by 40%. So it previously had that slow, but now you reduce their dash distance as well, meaning that this is a very, very chunky slow. And because Sandblast also does a fixed 40 damage now, I don't know if I mentioned that yet, Sandblast can now also proc certain spirit-based effects. So, hypothetically, if you wanted to throw a Mystic Slow on top of that, you could. And that would just be really evil. And, you know, that you could, I don't know, Echo Shard it, and then you could do it again and just be really, really mean to some people. Paradox is getting buffs. Uh-oh. That's another scary one right there. So Kinetic Carbine's cooldown has been reduced by 3 seconds. Nice. And the time wall width has been increased by half a meter. Yeah, I guess it's not that scary, but hey, cool, I guess. Alright, so here's something that I'm struggling to wrap my head around. They buffed 7. A lot. What? I have like an 80% win rate on this character in the recent patch. He's kind of like the only thing keeping my win rate somewhat positive in the current state of the game because of my stupid A to Z challenge that I really suck at, so... Yeah, they're just buffing him pretty ludicrously. So, I mean, sure, I'll take it. You know what? I'll boost my 80% win rate to 90, I guess. The Lightning Ball, Tier 3, has been increased by half a meter, so now it is a 1.5 meter radius, and this is on top of the base radius buff that they gave it in a previous patch. And so now if we just max this out, we have 5.7 meter radius balls, and this is before we get Greater Expansion online. And remember, that Greater Expansion is a multiplicative buff, and so because they increase the base value, Greater Expansion is going to be even stronger than it was before. So now if I grab Greater Expansion... Why are they so big? That's crazy. I mean, I certainly wasn't having any trouble hitting the balls before, and now this is basically unavoidable. I'm not sure he needed this, to be honest, but I'll exploit it while I can. And on top of that, they have also buffed the Stormcloud pretty substantially. So the base DPS has gone from 90 to 95, and the Tier 3 DPS has gone up from 54 to 65, making that a pretty substantial increase. And the Tier 3 also has even faster movement control. So if I go ahead and pop my ults, we are now able to move even faster. And it still doesn't look like that fast, but this is noticeably faster than it was before, and that's because the value has gone from 2.5 to 3.8 meters per second, so also a pretty substantial change. The only thing that got worse on this character, and it is definitely much worse, is the Tier 2 Power Surge, which has gone from 15% Spirit Resist Shred for 8 seconds down to 10% Spirit Resist Shred for 6 seconds, which is a very big nerf, and it hurts the Power Surge playstyle even more. People have already been playing Ball a lot more than Power Surge, and this really just kind of almost kills Power Surge in a way, because, yeah, I mean, you're losing a lot of effective damage on that. 5% Spirit Resist Shred is huge on a character who does this much spirit damage, so... yeah, that is a pretty crazy nerf, but as far as Ball 7 is concerned, I mean, I'm just going to keep playing my Ball build. A lot of you guys love my Ball build, and we're just going to keep smoking our lobbies, I guess. Alright, it's Sinclair. Yay. Let's get through these as quickly as possible. So, Sinclair's Spirit Power Growth per boon has increased from 1.1 to 1.3, more Spirit Power across the board, very nice. Vexing Bolt initial velocity has been reduced from 1,000 to 800. That is very interesting. So, slower bolts, easier to dodge. And also, Vexing Bolt now only snaps to heroes. I'm gonna be so for real, I don't know what this means. Like, because, like, I can still, like, redirect the bolts and completely miss it. I didn't even know there was a snapping mechanic. And, like, I can still, like, kind of target it to the... I don't know what this means. I need a Sinclair main to help me out. I hate this character. So I don't know what this means. But I do know what the next couple of changes mean. So the max duration of the Vexing Bolt has been increased from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. The max damage component is still at 2 seconds, because remember, the damage of Vexing Bolt ramps up the longer it's in the air. So it just gives you a little bit more time to actually redirect the bolt, and considering that they made the bolt slower, this is a very helpful change. And then they also changed around the rabbit hex a little bit. They reduced the cooldown from 30 seconds to 26 seconds, and they increased the radius from 6 meters to 6.5 meters. So now I can comfortably hit both of these guys, and I'll get to do it again a little bit sooner. And finally, Yamato, getting some very interesting changes here. So the tier 3 bonus damage of Power Slash has been nerfed from 166 down to 150, so only 16 damage loss there. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that you now increase the spirit power scaling on the tier 3 by 0.5, and this thing already has ridiculous spirit power scaling. So if we go ahead and max this out here, we now get 2.4 spirit power scaling. If I just grab, oh god, what is this build I've got equipped? Get that out of here. Okay, if I grab Boundless Spirit, I'm getting 198 extra damage from the spirit power scaling. Woo, that's kind of intense. So spirit power scaling is now even better on this character, and it only comes with the initial trade-off of 16 damage on the tier 3 upgrade. I'd say that's a heck of a bargain. And then they also buffed Shadow Transformation's heal on kill from 12% of your max health to 15% of your max health. So very, very nice, solid buffs for Yamato, I have to say. I'm very surprised by this. And yeah, that's going to do it for this Deadlock update. A small balance update with a bunch of buffs for certain characters. And some of these changes end up being pretty huge for the characters, and I'm looking forward to playing some of these changes in the A to Z. I have yet to get to Ivy, so I really want to play a support Ivy build now. That looks so interesting to me. But let me know what you think about the changes in the comment section down below, and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel as well, so you don't miss out on any future videos from me. And with all that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the new year.